What up, guys? We got a badass video here. I'm actually really excited for this one. It's from United 24, which is like a war journalist channel, I believe. Um, I'm relatively new to their channel, but they've got some really cool stuff from what I can tell. Um, so before we get started into this, my name is Saxon. I went by Vegas in the International Legion. I joined the Legion at the beginning of 2023. And I'm still in Ukraine, but I'm no longer in the Legion. I'm working on a couple other things, including setting up a small team in regards to drones and other things like that, intelligence. But with that said, before I came to Ukraine, I had no military experience. I was a firefighter and an EMT outside of Fort Worth, Texas. So let's watch this one. For anybody who is new here and anybody who has been here, if you saw my post on the channel, I've set up any of the membership options to be a way to sponsor people who want to come to the Legion, want to come to Ukraine and volunteer or be volunteer fighters, right? I've been getting a lot of emails saying, hey, can you help me get to Ukraine financially? While at some point when this channel's big enough, I'll absolutely be able to cover it. Right now, I'm not able to. So if I set up the memberships like this, I can use any money that comes to the channel through the memberships, directly book these guys' flights, their bus tickets from Poland into Ukraine. Since I've done it numerous times, 6, 7, 8 times myself, I know exactly how to do it. I can set it up for these people. So that's what the memberships are about. Again, don't feel obligated to do it or anything. I have had a handful of people reach out and ask if they could donate or how they can help. That's the best way to do it at the moment, okay? Until we get some more monetization options on the channel. The channel's growing quick, so hopefully that's soon. This video are Ukrainian paratroopers and a United 24 journalist who are surrounded by Russians, 14 hours, basically besieged. Let's watch this shit. Viewer discretion advised, as always.
This, like for all soldiers, is their life now. Ukraine or death.
Last hope.
So, as a journalist working in war zones, I guess one would say you do quite a few things that a lot of people would call borderline irresponsible, but this today might well be the most irresponsible of them all. Behind me are Ukrainian paratroopers, and we're embedding with them. The mission is to hold the first line of defense outside a small village which has been taken by the Russian army just a couple of days ago.
Gonna be intense.
If I sound nervous, it's because I am. But we felt like it is our job to show what it looks like, raw and unfiltered. When
This moment right here, when you are in the armor or you're in some kind of vehicle heading to basically the point where you are going to infill for your operation, this moment here is probably, in my opinion, one of the scariest moments. It's quiet. It's dead quiet. Everybody's doing their pre-combat rituals, right? People pray, people listen to music, whatever it is. And the fact that this journalist, and he's wearing his helmet the right way. He's not wearing his, the usual journalist helmet where it's like all the way, back here. He's nailing it with the helmet. He's brave as shit for heading directly into the zero line with these paratroopers. Respect, United 24. Let's go.
the Russian army is assaulting with all its might. We also wanted to show what it means to stand in their way. In the next 25 minutes, that is exactly what you will see.
The war behind us is extremely loud and intense, and where all the sounds are coming from, that's where we're going. We're quickly swapping the car. Some of the guys just came from there. Now we're going in. We're gonna load up, and we're gonna be fast.
So they're doing a rotation, right? We did this too while I was out there. Basically, you come, relieve the guys who are posted at that position, and you infill with a fresh group of soldiers, fresh equipment, and get ready for a shift, basically.
Ебать.
The car stops, we run. 300 meters across the field, dodging craters.
The amount of times I've seen a run like this, across open field like this, and someone steps on a mine and just their entire leg is just evaporated, incinerated. It's too much. I've seen it happen a lot. So obviously this, where they're running, I'm sure is a known path that's not mined, right? But it just makes me think of all the times I've seen that. The terrain just like this, you don't see the mine. It's bad.
Call it the shelter. The paratroopers hold two positions along this road. The other we will call the yard. The shelter is for resting, the yard for surveillance. From there, the Russians are only 600 meters away.
Они установили одну эспеху. Напротив нас там дом с подвалом. На 4 человека. Эспеха смотрели каждые 15 минут, там можно прям возле подвала смотреть.
At one point, the closest that we were to the enemy, where our position was about 60 meters, and it was close enough to the Russian trench line that you could hear them talking and drinking and, you know, almost partying at night. You could hear it. It's pretty interesting. And I also think this is why there's a lot of Ukrainian assaults on Russian positions at night, besides the obvious of just being, there's just more cover when it's dark, right? It's easier to be sneaky and infiltrate. But aside from that, you might catch some drunk dudes, people without their gear on, maybe not holding their rifles. Just saying.
Смотреть. И можно там справа дом. Вот там такое, ебать. Надо слушать, короче, чтобы не было дронов. Потому что FPV-ки, сбросы, все въебывают сюда. Блядь, хуево качество. Ну, короче, крайний дом. Вот здесь крайний дом. Тут еще типа какой огород, сад, хуй пойми. Тут такая траншейка небольшая идет. Возле траншейку затянули ягозой. Здесь поставили ОЗМ-ку. Здесь противопехотки. И здесь еще одна ОЗМ-ка.
Короче, слева от дома никуда не ходить. И...
Если идти по этой дороге, только тут трансформатор. Если идти по этой дороге и вообще сюда проходить, чтобы трансформатор постоянно был по правое плечо. Типа проходить сюда.
One group heads to the yard, and we try and get comfortable. This will be our home for the next few days.
After a quick introduction by some units that were already here, we got a couple of hours of much needed sleep. As you just heard, it's pretty loud. The village is under constant attack. A couple of minutes ago, we had glide bombs landing somewhere here in the vicinity. So it's too dangerous to go even outside just for a couple of minutes. As you can see here, this is the toilet.
The quality's not great. Don't know if that's the...
I guess that says it all.
That's better. Sorry about
We
that.
share the shelter with Sava, Punk, Morichok, and Albert. Sava, whose real name is Roma, is the commander, a tattoo artist from Kyiv. Punk is, well, a punk. Morichok used to be a sailor, and Albert worked in the IT sector, but his real passion was always the great outdoors. They belong to the Kaifariki. It translates loosely to those who enjoy life. They are, like many others in Ukraine, a group of friends who came together when the war started. What separates them from almost all others is that some were active members of various subcultures, like anti-fascist hooligans. They really are the complete opposite of what Russian propaganda portrays Ukrainian soldiers to be. Rebels.
Anti-fascist subculture, anti-fascist hooligans. Just anti-Nazi, right? Just in my last video, I had two people commenting can't believe you're fighting for Nazis. Come on, man. Like, open your eyes. But these are the same people, right? If you click on their profiles, the people that comment this shit, that just have like the most outlandish stuff. They've got like they're like usernames like smoke weed every day, 420, 69, 666. And then you click on their profile and it's like free Palestine and death to Zionists. It's like, Jesus. You know, it makes sense when you click on their profile. You're like, that's the kind of people that are commenting this shit.
But with a cause.
And also, I wanted to note this. So many units are just like this. A group of guys and girls, very little military experience. When the war started, they wanted to defend their country, and they joined up. In a lot of, and I learned this on the front, in a lot of cases, even though I had no military experience prior to Ukraine, after going through Legion training, I had more training than a lot of these Ukrainian soldiers. Because they just get a real quick crash course. 2 weeks, here's how you fire your weapon, here's how to shoot a rocket launcher. Okay, good luck. You know what I mean? At least in the Legion, they give you 6 to 8 weeks. They cover a lot of the bases.
The day progresses and the shelling intensifies. Outside the cellar, we hear the constant whir of drones. Ours, theirs, who knows?
Since we've been stationed here, we've been holding the line, supporting nearby brigades.
I know I'm pausing a lot on this one, but there's so much good content I'm already. This, how they're just sitting there and they're taking enemy artillery, mortars, maybe glide bombs. A few people ask, like, what's it like? It's just like what you see here. Sitting there, eating your MRE, boom, boom, boom. I will say these guys are in a much more, I'll say, secure position than like the outside trench positions, because you have no roof over your head in the trenches, right? If you're lucky, you'll get a foxhole that has a couple of logs. But if an artillery round lands on that, you're done anyways, right? Maybe it'll block a grenade from a drone. I've seen that happen where it'll land on these logs. The guys inside will be okay. But so this looks like a pretty cool area that they're in. But this is very accurate to what it's like to be under artillery fire. You're just sitting there doing your regular shit, and you're like, oh. Hours of this.
It's doing recon and bracing ourselves for an enemy attack. I expect it'll come early morning, or when it's dark, or maybe during bad weather. No matter what happens, we'll give them everything we've got. This position is very close to a village that our enemy recently captured, and now they're leveling this village to the ground. It's quiet in this second. But as you know, the fighting picks up morning and night. Drones are constantly buzzing overhead, ours and theirs, trying to pinpoint positions. The enemy has the upper hand here. More firepower, more artillery, more troops, more of everything.
Yeah, that's quite the rig. Is that an M240 Bravo?
More troops.
Any of my machine gunners in the comments, let me know. Looks like an M240. It's got laser, got a sweet optic. Nice. I saw an M4 earlier. This guy's got an AK. Got a bull spike or some kind of single-use anti-tank or anti-personnel rocket. These guys are kitted. I also saw, there's another one back here. I also saw that dude had some nods, some nice night vision. It's not the spider eyes, right? The 4s. But still nice. It had 2. You know, oftentimes you'll see what I consider like the budget night vision is the monocular, where you pull it down over one eye and you get thermal or night vision through one optic, one eye. But his look nice. Moving on.
More of everything. They're pushing hard to break through, and they're making progress.
вдається, але поки ми тут, слухай, наче. Насправді
The situation is critical.
критична, тому що вдень
Moving around during the day is too risky.
багато чого.
Too many drones. They spot you immediately.
Вони тебе одразу
They fly over every house that's still standing, over every basement, trying to locate our infantry.
бачити, що їх не так багато.
We've learned that the hard way.
Просувати нашу піхоту.
They soften us up with artillery, so that infantry hunkers down in the basements,
Піхота сидить в підвалах, ховається.
doesn't manage to put up any real defenses, and the enemy moves in and just lobs grenades down into the basements.
Опонент, то просто закидує ТМ-ками чи гранатами ці чудові підвали, та всі вмирають.
Right now, everything is stable, but we're waiting for nightfall and another round of clashes with the enemy.
Вечора та чекаємо нових зіткнень з ворогом.
How he just explained the combat is spot on. The Russians and the Ukrainians do this, but they will just soften you up and keep you pinned down with artillery while infantry units move up to, like, you know, a handful of meters away to where they can lob grenades. The Ukrainians and Legionnaires do the same thing, but they have less supplies, less artillery. I'm hearing almost daily that there's artillery units out there just sitting. They have no rounds to fire at the enemy. So what you see a lot is small arms fire to keep their heads down inside the buildings, and then they push up and, you know, lob grenades into these basements or fortified positions.
As night approaches, the boys slowly start getting ready for rotation. Punk gives a quick introduction of the group's hardware.
An assault rifle isn't much use against anything other than infantry. With the PKM, you can at least engage
That's
lightly
PKM,
armored
sorry.
vehicles, maybe even try to penetrate the rear of a BMP. We've got armor-piercing rounds we captured from the Russians for BMPs, BRDMs, but they won't stop a tank. We have one N-lock, but that's it. So if a tank comes rolling in, we'll have only one shot, and then we'd better get the fuck out of there.
When it's dark, we split. Our cameraman moves with the Kaifaniki to position 2, the yard. There, the boys conduct small reconnaissance missions, checking the road, watching for enemy movement. It's silent work, but dangerous. You can be sure that on the other side, someone is also watching. I stay behind at the shelter, and I'm joined by Gaba, Django, Ene, and Obama. They are from BSDG, the Black Sea Defense Group, founded by Gaba and 2 others from Odessa. Also they are, like the Kaifariki, a group of friends, mostly martial artists, who gathered when war began. The atmosphere is friendly. We are joined by a cat that has escaped the war above in search of some grub and cuddles. That's how the night begins. At 4.
We had a cat in our safe village that we called Nubs because he lost his tail in some kind of explosion. But just like, actually, I've showed you guys pictures of Nubs. He's cute. Real quick, just how you saw them moving to a different location. When you infill, you exfil for your rotations. Everything is with no light. Light discipline is probably one of the most important things that they stress while you're out there on the front. So night vision is so crucial, and you're not guaranteed to get night vision in the Legion. If you come and you join a group like a GUR group, right, like a higher speed special forces unit, you'll probably get issued night vision. But if you're just going to do basic infantry work like I did, you're not guaranteed night vision. I would recommend getting some before coming.
4 a.m. Bombs start to pound the village. The walls shake, debris scatters down the stairs. The carpet begins to flutter like a flag warning us. Trouble is coming. 100 meters away, the same bombs have ripped us from our sleep. But in the cellar, without eyes on the road, only the radio will tell us what is happening. The other group calls for help.
Плюс. Куда поддержка? Куда?
Нужна поддержка в плане противотанковых. Нужна поддержка в плане противотанковых.
They got one. One in lock.
Плюсяра, сова, плюсяра. Я информацию слышал, но мы пока не можем высунуть даже носа, ебать. Хуярят очень сильно.
Шарю. Пацани, дуже швидко піздою, блядь.
Давай сразу их
Штурмовать?
я сейчас позову.
Yeah?
Штурм.
Okay.
Дайте мне РПГшку, отлежку, хоть что-то там.
Sturm. A storm. That's what they call an assault in Ukraine. A Russian armored convoy is heading down the road. The commander, Gaba, prepares an RPG.
Это что за хуйня, ебать? Я как будто разучился все делать, нахуй.
With heavy machinery, our only chance is to pray they don't know where we are, to wait in the shadows, and when the time is right, to pounce.
Отходите нахуй!
It's pure chaos. The guys are burning through ammunition, trying to stop the Russians from overrunning them. One soldier always has his gun to the exit, his eyes scanning from left to right.
Ще раз, Габар, ще раз.
Говорю, пытаюсь вызвать сову.
Active Ear Pro. These earphones they're wearing, so important.
His gun to the
I knew a couple of guys who thought that they did not need them, even outdoor, because we're like in a trench line. You're not inside with the sound echoes, right? And they still heard ringing for hours after, like a firefight or a rocket went off near them. Get Ear Pro.
exit, his eyes scanning from left to right.
Ще раз, Габар, ще раз.
Говорю, пытаюсь вызвать сову.
The grenades start to run low, but still, there are smiles.
Last hope.
Малыш, вставай, я казав, нав'язав.
There is no other way to describe this situation but madness.
Really? You fucked the tank? I love you, brother, man. I love you.
He's taking cover.
In the middle of the battle, my night vision camera breaks. It records only static and sound. It's ironic because I barely remember any part of this, but it happened. Both where we laugh like maniacs
I trust in you.
and where Obama tells me to kill myself if the Russians enter.
Знаешь, что ты можешь сделать?
Скажи.
Если они зайдут сюда,
He stops speaking. He puts his fingers to his mouth and pulls the imaginary trigger.
I've mentioned this in multiple videos at this point. We we're told to do the same, especially as Legionnaires. Russians tend to want to make an example out of Legionnaires to try to stop other foreigners from joining Ukraine's side. So they'll do some especially nasty things to Legionnaires, and they already do bad things to Ukrainian soldiers. So you can only imagine what they do to soldiers in the Legion, right? Some guys carried a one extra 5.45 by 39, one extra round on a necklace. Some guys, like myself, kept an additional grenade, just in case, right? You don't want to get captured by these bastards.
Back at the yard, the Russians are closing in fast. Sava and his group are not as lucky as us. The enemy knows exactly where they are.
Малыш, малыш, сова. Малыш, малыш. Раз. Малыш, малыш. Тихо, дальше, тихо, тихо.
The only way in and out leads through an open yard. Punk blasts his rifle, and with his grenade launcher, Sava, the commander, sends one round after the next, hurling towards the enemy.
Oh, shit.
У меня легкая в руку, сова, легкая.
Then he's injured.
Все увидим, все будет хорошо, пацаны. Я вас люблю.
Flying shrapnel scrapes open his forearm, but he continues fighting. Three hours into the battle, daylight breaks. It's hard to say what is going on in his mind as he calmly slides past the wall stained with his blood again and again, chucking grenades through the opening and returning to take a sip of water like some people spend the hot summer's day in a park, passing a ping pong ball to their friend to serve. At the shelter, the fight has calmed down a bit. One of the BSDG always watches the entrance, ready to fire at any moment. They switch every couple of minutes. The rest reload, rest and reflect. Django has lost his hearing, but apart from that, everyone is okay. The adrenaline wears off a bit, and we can start to think straight.
Три танка, две бэхи, два БТРа.
Jesus.
No. Это было сегодня утром. Yes.
But the calm is deceptive. All of a sudden, we hear the gentle hiss of a gas grenade, and smoke starts to fill the room. I film the beginning on my phone before I can get my camera to work. Is it poison gas? Tear gas? Are they trying to smoke us out? Will they come in? The boys don't take any chances and start shooting. We are lucky. It's not poison, and the Russians don't enter. But we are surrounded, and we realize we will not be leaving this cellar anytime soon.
Shit.
At the yard, the fight is in full swing. The Russians have closed off the roads and taken up position in a house directly opposite. Because backup can't reach us, the guys tried to coordinate Ukrainian mortar crews and drone units via the radio.
Там пидоры просят поддержку. Они просто за забором от меня, блядь.
Finally, a friendly drone drops an explosive over the enemy position.
There we go.
You can hear
That's your close air support in Ukraine. You know, in the U.S. you might get a oh shit, I gotta get that. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys, I'm back. I had a visitor real quick. Hey, also, I wanted to mention this. For the first handful of members that we get, it's not much, but I wanted to give a few of my International Legion patches. I'll send it to you in the mail. Like I said, I know it's not much, but it's something that I have that you might find cool. All right, let's get back to it.
You're an injured Russian moaning in pain. But for Sava, the commander, it is not enough. He does not want to take any chances and leaves cover to fire an RPG. At the shelter, tensions are high. We hear voices. The Russians are just outside. One seems to be injured. We hear them chanting in unison, trying to heave their comrade over the ground. They call for backup. More arrive. Their voices get louder and louder.
Малыш, ебаните в нас. Малыш, ебаните в нас. У нас есть дохуя пидоров. Перекличку, сука, делают. Ебаните в нас, кто слышит.
Gaba sends a final call for help over the radio. There is a cellar, we hear one of the Russians say. They're coming. It is the moment when my life should be flashing before my eyes, but it doesn't. I only see Obama, his lips twisting around his teeth as he and Django stand with the guns in their hand. But once again, we are lucky. Our call for help was heard. Kaifariki and BSTG fighters assist with drones, mortars, and RPG strikes from behind the fields around.
Let's go.
From above, you can see the full scale of the inferno. Inside, explosions very close to us tell us Ukrainian troops are firing at the Russians. Gaba decides that attack is the best defense. He throws grenades and then shoots an RPG at the house opposite us, where we suspect them to be. Back at the yard, the situation worsens. It's been over 12 hours of battle. Punk is wounded. A piece of shrapnel has lodged itself deep into his leg.
I was literally just about to say this might be the first video that we watch where nobody gets wounded. Wrong.
The boys move him from the yard to the entrance. Albert provides cover while Sava applies first aid. Hank is struggling not to go into shock, his eyes rolling into the back of his head. They move him onto the staircase where he fights the pain. The rest continue fighting the Russians who are making another push. They realize that they cannot stay here much longer. Ammunition and energy are running out. The road is still blocked. To escape, the group will have to run around behind enemy lines.
Перед металом теж є траншеї. Вони вроді би чисті, підерів там не бачу, як прийняв.
Плюс, а кто-то может артой подсобить, закрыть типа пидоров, чтобы в этот момент проскочили?
Пробуем щось.
Давай, на связи.
Just 50 meters behind the yard, the drone pilot has spotted an empty trench. It's their best chance. The only problem, the Russians have a BTR positioned at the crossroads. Clumsily, they have driven it into a ditch, but the crew is still inside.
It's not where you want to be.
At the shelter, there is good and bad news. The good news, the voices of the Russians have died down. Are they dead, injured, only hiding? We don't know. The bad news, the house we are under and all the houses around us are on fire. The cellar starts to fill with smoke.
Oh shit.
We all get a headache, the first sign of carbon monoxide poisoning. As the sun slowly sets, we decide we have to make a run for it. The other paratroopers have set up a first line of defense at the edge of a field that ends right behind our shelter. My camera at this point has no more battery. The only footage we have is from Obama's body cam. We leave the shelter after 14 hours of hell and run. Miraculously, we all make it. Sava and the others fight their way out through enemy-controlled territory. All four, plus our cameraman, are injured. Their exit was made possible by two comrades, Vegan and Woody, who killed the crew of the Russian BTR blocking the exit. Having survived only due to the bravery and resilience of the commanders Sava, Gaba and their boys, we head home with a near-death experience that hopefully won't repeat itself so soon. For the Kaifariki and the BSDG, it's back to war the next day. This, like for all soldiers, is their life now. Ukraine or death. Even if it was tough to watch, we hope our report gave you a valuable insight into how war in Ukraine actually looks like. But another thing, war is expensive, and units like the Kaifariki rely heavily on donations for many things: medical supplies, electronics, cars. So if you have the capacity and the will to help them out, I'm sure they would be very grateful if you do so. And you can do it here, either via PayPal or the link to this Ukrainian bank account.
That was badass, dude. I'm gonna link their channel and this video in the description below, like I do every single video that we react to. Couple of things that I notice really is, or just that I think about in general, is how sketchy it seems like almost every situation is, right? Like very few of these combat operations, assaults or defensive missions go as planned. And I guess that's the nature of combat. But another thing that's really sticks with me is the fact that these guys, like the journalist said, they're back at it the next day, right? The guys who get injured, maybe they get a few days off. If it's bad enough, they get surgery. Regardless, everybody's coming back, right? You unless you're like you lose a limb or something very, very serious, you're gonna end up back in the war. So just a ton of respect. We're gonna definitely watch more of this United 24 media. These guys are awesome, man. Definitely drop them a follow. We'll leave it at that. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Like, share, subscribe, please.